11 mindsets to accelerate your path to success. Greetings, everyone. Ordinary people change their results, exceptional individuals change the cause, and the world's greatest masters change their mindset. Stanford University psychology professor Carol Dweck, in her research on lifelong growth, emphasized that the difference between people does not lie in talent or hard work, but in their way of thinking. One's mindset determines the upper limit of their life. Here are 11 powerful mindsets. Cultivating them can help you achieve success faster than others. 1. Adaptive thinking. A single drop of water weighs roughly 50 times more than a mosquito. With gravity's acceleration, the impact of that water droplet on a mosquito is equivalent to being hit by a massive bus. Yet, during rainy days, most mosquitoes remain unharmed. An American professor used high-speed cameras to capture how mosquitoes survive the rain. When a droplet lands on their wings or legs, mosquitoes tilt their bodies to align with the droplet, allowing it to slide off. Their bodies are coated with a water-repellent material, similar to lotus leaves, enabling them to shed water effortlessly by simply extending their legs and wings. Even if struck directly, mosquitoes go along with the droplet's momentum, falling momentarily before swiftly adjusting their posture to separate from the droplet and continue flying. No matter how heavy the droplet, mosquitoes can escape thanks to their constant ability to adapt their strategy to the environment and situation. This aligns with Darwin's theory of evolution, which states that survival belongs not to the strongest or the smartest, but to those most responsive to change. Andy Grove, the founder of Intel, introduced the concept of the 10x change theory. External changes always happen faster than we anticipate, 10 times faster, in fact. Think about it. How many seemingly stable jobs have been completely transformed, and how many once thriving industries are now being replaced by virtual realities? In this constantly evolving era, maintaining stability requires us to proactively adapt to change. Before diving deeper into these transformative mindsets, don't forget to follow this channel for more insights about wealth and achieving financial freedom faster. Number 2, probabilistic thinking. During World War II, a statistical research group at Columbia University was tasked with analyzing data to devise optimal strategies for minimizing losses to American aircraft. They observed that bullet holes were unevenly distributed across various parts of the planes and suggested reinforcing the areas most frequently hit. At first glance, this seemed logical, but the brilliant mathematician Abraham Wald disagreed. Wald argued that reinforcement should focus on the areas with the fewest bullet holes, specifically the engines. He explained that, from a probabilistic standpoint, every part of the plane had an equal chance of being hit. So why were there fewer bullet holes on the engines? Wald reasoned that planes hit in the engines likely never made it back, whereas those with damage to other parts could still land safely. It's similar to observing that more patients have leg injuries than chest wounds, not because legs are more vulnerable, but because those with chest wounds often don't survive. Ordinary people see the planes that returned with bullet holes, but true masters see the missing bullet holes. The difference lies in probabilistic thinking. Those who master this mindset can make more accurate decisions. The legendary investor Charlie Munger once likened his investment wisdom to fishing. The first rule of fishing is to fish where the fish are, and the second rule is to never forget the first. Throughout life, we face 3 key challenges: what to do, what not to do, and what to repeat. Probabilistic thinking helps us identify what is worth pursuing, what should be avoided, and what requires consistent effort over time. Number 3, leverage thinking. In the 1990s, the British Library faced a daunting challenge, relocating over 13 million books from its old facility in London to its new site in St. Pancras. The estimated cost for this massive undertaking was a staggering £3.5 million. If you were the library manager, how would you approach reducing the costs? Hire cheaper labor? Cut transportation expenses? Faced with such an overwhelming task, all conventional solutions seemed like mere drops in the ocean. What would someone with exceptional thinking do? A young library staff member approached the manager with an idea and said, "I have a solution. All I need is £150,000. The next day, this young staff member placed an announcement in the newspaper. Starting today, the British Library will offer free and unlimited access to all citizens. To help save on relocation costs, we kindly ask that you return borrowed books to the new library at the address provided." This young individual transformed the traditional mindset of moving books into a strategy of returning books. With just a fraction of the original budget, they managed to complete 90% of the relocation work. Such is the power of leveraged thinking. As the book The Genius on the Left, the Madman on the Right states, if thinking is a wall, then the world lies on the other side of that wall. This world never has a dead end. The only thing blocking you is your fixed mindset. When you encounter a problem and feel trapped, try shifting your perspective. You might just see the light at the end of the tunnel. Number 4, the four-dimensional mindset. Michael Simmons, an American best-selling author, spent 5 years studying self-made billionaire entrepreneurs. He discovered that these extraordinary founders share a remarkably similar way of thinking when tackling problems. They employ a four-dimensional mindset to view the world, while most people remain confined to one-dimensional thinking. A person with a one-dimensional mindset limits their vision to their specific area of expertise. In contrast, someone with a four-dimensional mindset can look across centuries from the past to the future to make informed decisions. While one-dimensional thinkers pursue short-term gains, four-dimensional thinkers prioritize long-term benefits. Take Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, as an example. He willingly invests billions of dollars into experiments that might fail or take 7 years to turn a profit. Similarly, Warren Buffett, the chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, only invests in companies he believes he can hold on to for decades. Masayoshi Son, the founder of SoftBank, once posed a thought-provoking question to his employees: why don't most people achieve great success? His team was left puzzled. Masayoshi Son then drew a mountain on a piece of paper, with a circle at its base and another at the peak. Connecting the two circles, he wrote the word ideal. He explained that an ideal is like a lighthouse guiding the way. When you have a clear goal, you become more patient, composed, and steadfast. Short-term success won't distract you, and temporary failure won't intimidate you. Therefore, don't overestimate the significance of achievements in 1 year, and don't underestimate the power of transformation over a decade. Always focus on doing the right thing, and time will reveal the answers you seek. Number 5, the upstream thinking mindset. The editorial team of a reality TV program once interviewed the country's top programmers, asking them about the core challenges of their profession. You might assume their answers would focus on writing better code or mastering multiple programming languages. However, their responses were surprisingly unrelated to technical skills. Instead, they all unanimously pointed to one fundamental challenge: understanding user needs. The vice president of Tencent shared a story from his time working at Google. Back then, he was tasked with improving the conversion rate from search to ad clicks. At one point, the company's business team noticed that Chinese users had a lower conversion rate and suggested the technical team increase the font size of ads and change the background color to make them stand out. Instead of implementing these changes directly, he and his team asked, "What is the core problem you're trying to solve?" After discussions, they realized the business team's ultimate goal was to increase the conversion rate. Upon further investigation, they discovered that Chinese portal websites often featured numerous banners at the top of the page. This caused users to ignore the upper portion of the page and scroll straight to the bottom. Since Google's ads were displayed at the very top, they were being overlooked. The solution? Moving the ads to the bottom of the page. This simple adjustment led to a significant increase in conversion rates. Top engineers don't just write code, they see the human needs behind the code. This is what upstream thinking is all about. In the book, The McKinsey Mind, the McKinsey chart thinking methodology emphasizes a similar principle, addressing the root problem rather than just its symptoms. Number 6, the lazy ant mindset. At Hokkaido University in Japan, a research team studying evolutionary biology conducted an experiment with 3 groups of ants, each consisting of 30 ants, to observe how they divide labor. They discovered that within the colony, most of the ants were hardworking, busy cleaning the nest, transporting food, and taking care of the young. However, some ants appeared to be very lazy, simply wandering around and observing while others worked. The researchers dubbed these ants lazy ants and marked them. Surprisingly, when the researchers cut off the food supply to the colony, the hardworking ants became frantic, while the so-called lazy ants remained calm and led the group to find a new food source. In fact, the lazy ants weren't truly lazy. They had been spending their time scouting. This is what is known as the famous lazy ant effect. Have you ever fallen into the trap of being a hard-working ant? Psychologist Jordan Peterson once shared a self-assessment checklist. You spend most of your time on the easiest tasks and convince yourself that, even without results, you've worked hard. You procrastinate under the guise of preparation, appearing busy but making no real progress. You never check the results of your work. You read a lot of books, but never summarize the key lessons, or if you do, you don't apply them in your life. If you find yourself showing these signs, it's time for a change. While it's important to keep moving forward, don't forget to look up and ensure you're heading in the right direction. Number 7, the environment mindset. In the mid-19th century, psychologist Kurt Kafka introduced the theory of environment, suggesting that the external world can be divided into two types. One, the physical environment, which refers to the actual, tangible surroundings. Two, the behavioral environment, which represents the world in the imagination of humans. He told a story to illustrate this. One winter night, a man riding a horse arrived at an inn during a blizzard. He was relieved to have found shelter. The innkeeper, surprised, came out to greet him and asked where he had come from. The man pointed towards the area outside the inn. The innkeeper, horrified, said, "Do you realize that you just rode across Lake Constance?" Upon hearing this, the man collapsed at the innkeeper's feet. When the man was riding across the lake, he was in the physical environment, the actual lake. However, in his mind, he had believed it to be a snow-covered field. Had he known he was crossing a vast, dangerous lake, he likely wouldn't have galloped across it. But because he thought it was solid ground, he continued riding confidently. After learning the truth, he was so shocked that he fainted. Humans are products of their environments. The best way to change oneself is to place oneself in an environment that fosters growth. To improve focus, create a space free from distractions. To enhance awareness, remove low-quality short video apps and instead read classic books. To cultivate a positive mindset, avoid things that cause distress, minimize arguments, and spend more time in nature. If you're dissatisfied with your current state, begin by changing your environment. Personal transformation starts now. Number 8, the pivot. Not every wall is worth hitting. Life is full of possibilities, and there are no rules that require you to follow a single path to the end, especially when faced with challenges. When a road is blocked, changing direction in time is often the best way to take responsibility for your life. One person shared a story about her cousin. Her cousin, in her 30s, had a stable job, but to her relatives, she was still seen as the single woman. At every family gathering, she was inevitably bombarded with questions. Eventually, her parents arranged for her to meet a man through an introduction. They had similar interests and quickly developed feelings for each other. Not long after, they started discussing marriage. One day, the cousin accidentally discovered messages on her boyfriend's phone and learned that he had a gambling habit. Nearly all of his salary went towards gambling each month, and his family even helped him hide it. At first, she tried to convince him to quit, knowing how addictive gambling could be. He didn't argue, but didn't take her advice seriously either. Then one day, he suddenly asked her for money to cover his living expenses. She was taken aback and asked, "You just got paid. Why do you need to borrow money?" He replied, "I lost it all." He even seemed annoyed and reproached her, saying, "We're not even married, and you're already meddling in my affairs." Hearing this, she didn't say another word and walked away. That evening, she took the initiative to propose breaking up. The next day, both families urged her to reconsider, believing that the man would change and she shouldn't give up so easily. But she remained firm in her decision to break up. Later, she met a better man, while the gambling addict sank deeper into debt, lost his job, and had to go into hiding to escape his creditors. The key takeaway from this story is that not all persistence leads to positive outcomes. There are things in life that should not be clung to, as doing so is simply stubbornness. Life is not always smooth sailing, and not every obstacle is worth crashing into. Sometimes knowing when to quit and walk away is far better than blindly holding on. Only by stepping back and freeing yourself from the mud can you find a path to a new life. Number 9, the pothole filling mindset. If you cannot solve the problem, you become the problem. The CEO of Alipay once said, "No matter what Jack Ma's decision is, my only task is to make sure that decision becomes the best decision." The greatest success of any individual lies in their ability to solve problems, whether in work or life. The pothole-filling mindset is a core competitive skill. The writer Chu Chi once shared a personal experience. When he first joined a company just 3 days into his role, the CEO's assistant suddenly told him he would be attending a meeting. As soon as he entered the meeting room, before even understanding the subject, he was scolded by the CEO. "You're in charge of the company's website, right? If the website is this bad, you need to overhaul it quickly. I want to see a new version launched within 30 days. At that moment, Chi was stunned. He had only been at the company for 3 days and knew nothing about managing the website. But he quickly realized this was a trap set by his predecessors to test him. Many people might have refused the task, but Chi did not hesitate. He nodded and continued on. For the next month, he was relentlessly busy, planning content categories, finding technicians, coordinating the work of the UI design team. In the end, he managed to launch the new version ahead of schedule. The CEO was very pleased and later discovered that Chi wasn't even in charge of the website. This impressed the CEO even more, and he recommended Chi to the general manager for a promotion to product manager, as well as nominating him for the company's Employee of the Year. In just over a month, from being a new hire, Chi had become a valued team member thanks to his pothole filling ability. Chi stated that every time he filled a pothole, it was an opportunity to train and develop himself, strengthening both his willpower and mindset. From then on, he became naturally adept at handling challenges and built a solid foundation for his future career. Work is a series of continuous potholes, and your job is to learn how to fill them well. Only by filling the potholes can you move forward. The difference between people lies in their ability to fill potholes when faced with difficulties. Exceptional people know how to find solutions, while ordinary people make excuses for their helplessness and avoid responsibility. How far someone can go depends on how capable they are at filling the potholes. Number 10, the sturdy barrel mindset. Don't let your flaws destroy your advantages. A truly intelligent person is someone who not only understands their strengths, but is also aware of their weaknesses. Instead of constantly confronting your weaknesses, focus on maximizing your strengths and finding those moments where you truly shine. Take the example of a famous German scientist, Otto Wallach. As a child, he followed his parents' wishes and studied literature. However, he had no real interest in it. After just one semester, his teacher reported to his parents saying, "Quach works very hard but is too stubborn. Even with perfect character, someone like him cannot excel in literature." His parents then encouraged him to pursue painting, but his art teacher also deemed him untalented. His paintings went unnoticed. Wallach faced many failures when he took the wrong path, which severely lowered his confidence. It wasn't until his kind chemistry teacher advised him, "You are meticulous and have a natural talent for hands-on work. Why not try chemistry?" That was when Wallach's potential truly ignited. He quickly developed into an outstanding talent in the field of chemistry. In 1910, he won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for his success in synthesizing artificial fragrances. There's an old saying, "Every ruler has its own length." Human intellectual development is not uniform. Each person has their own strengths and weaknesses. Flaws can become obstacles in life and limit our growth. The truly intelligent person is one who knows how to leverage their strengths and avoid their weaknesses. Only then can they open the door to a broader and smoother path in life. Number 11, the empty cup mindset. Sometimes resetting your life requires emptying your mind. There's a story circulating online that illustrates this. A young man, after failing in his startup venture, blamed the era and the circumstances around him. Later, he heard his parents talk about a wise monk at a nearby temple, and he decided to meet him. Initially, the monk's disciple greeted him, but the young man with a sense of arrogance said, "How can a young monk have the right to welcome me?" Soon after, the monk himself came to greet him with humility. As the monk poured tea, he continued to pour even when the cup was full. Perplexed, the young man asked, "Why do you keep pouring when the cup is already full?" The monk smiled and replied, "Yes, the cup is full. How can it take in more tea?" In that moment, the young man had an epiphany. The monk reminded him that no matter where or when, we must maintain an empty mindset. Only when we learn to empty ourselves and let go of the past can we rebuild our future. Chinese actress Ma Yili once shared an experience working with the renowned actor Chen Daoming. After a scene, while others rushed off, Chen Daoming stayed quietly to watch the young actors perform. Intrigued, he asked his mentor, "You always stand by and watch us perform. Do you have any advice?" Chen Daoming smiled and said, "Although I am a senior, I always remind myself to keep the attitude of a learner, to blend with the younger generation without arrogance, and to humbly learn from them." It's through this empty cup mindset that his acting skills continue to improve. French writer Émile Zola once said, "The entire meaning of life lies in the endless exploration of the unknown and the continual growth of knowledge." If a person is forever immersed in the glory of the past and self-satisfied, they will never achieve breakthroughs. Exceptional individuals often dare to reinvent themselves, let go of the past, and start over to create a better version of themselves. As Bayan Tung once said, a person's value and social status are proportional to their irreplaceable abilities. Where does this irreplaceability come from? From an independent character and a unique way of thinking. Life is a journey of breaking boundaries. Intellectual ability is the bronze medal, skill is the silver medal, relationships are the gold medal, and mindset is the ace of the deck. Having the right mindset is far more important than effort. A mindset shift allows you to pause and transform. A mindset that fills gaps elevates your ability and creates distance from others. A sturdy wooden barrel mindset helps discover and highlight strengths. The empty cup mindset helps to reset and start fresh. For the rest of our lives, let's aim to cultivate the highest level of thinking to live more harmoniously with the world. There's a saying, the achievements you make in life depend on your mindset. How you think determines the path you take. If your mindset does not reach a certain height, your steps will never reach it. The books you read, the paths you walk, the experiences you have, and the people you meet all serve as stepping stones to upgrade your thinking. Continue refining your mind, and one day you will transcend your limits to see a broader world. Thank you for following today's content. If you found it valuable, don't forget to share it with your friends and family. Stay tuned for more insights into advanced thinking. Goodbye, and see you next time.